So we can get on with the evening program now. We are now recording. So if you want to turn off your video, now would be the time. Now would also be the time to switch to speaker view. And again, to mute your mic if you haven't already. And more importantly, get comfortable. So here we go. So we're very pleased to start the evening with Jim Leyden. He's going to start us off with a land welcome. And then offer some of his perspective on why it is so important that we stop TMX. So Jim is a lifelong activist and a Sundance elder. He is of Anishinaabe Métis descent and adopted into Tsleil-Waututh Nation in the role of elder at the Watch House. Jim, over to you. Please unmute yourself. Jim, are you there? I don't actually see him either. He was here.
Yeah, he was.
Does anyone see Jim? If we were in a big hall, this would be really easy. Just stand up.
That's right.
He did have a dodgy internet connection, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Well, perhaps we should move on and come back to Jim.
We could
You
do.
have to be very flexible.
Just.
Jim, if you're here, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, in that case, John, would you mind doing the honors? Maybe I'll introduce John Preissl. And John, perhaps you could do us the honor of a land welcome, just in case Jim doesn't make it back. So I'll just give a quick introduction to John Preissl. John is a stream keeper, photographer, media expert, and tireless advocate on behalf of salmon, eagles, and other wildlife impacted by Trans Mountain on Burnaby Mountain and beyond. He is of Squamish and Lekamel Nation ancestry. John Preissl.
How you doing, everybody? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome again, everybody. Thank you very much for showing up on this beautiful night. I'm in Secret Cove right now. I moved up here this last year to carry on my work. But before we do that and get into this Trans Mountain mess, I'd like to thank everybody for organizing this amazing night. And it's a lot of work, I can assure you all. From the organizers, but first and foremost, I'd like to thank Tsleil-Waututh Nation, Squamish Nation, Musqueam Nation, all the rest of the nations that we are all at right now in British Columbia and Alberta. I'm like we've said before, I'm from Squamish and Lekamel Nation ancestry. I have a deep connection to the land, and as many of us do, and I thank you again for being here, and I thank all those nations for all the land that we are on here to continue our work to help protect the environment from TMX and the likes of. And you want me to keep going? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm here to specifically talk about Trans Mountain. Trans Mountain, I've been monitoring for, lived in the bottom of Burnaby Mountain for the better part of 30 years. I've been monitoring the eagles. I'm a stream keeper in Silver Creek and all the creeks actually in Burnaby, most of them. Let's make no mistake about it, the Trans Mountain pipeline expansion is probably the worst environmental disaster of our times in British Columbia and Canada. This expansion as it sits will, and they already have at Ground Zero in Burnaby Mountain and in Burnaby made a complete shamble of the work that they've done there. When the media finds out and the citizens of Canada find out how much money actually they are spending above and beyond the $20 billion, I'm pretty sure this thing will be shut down within the next year. I say that because I'm a member of the Ocean Protection Plan. That's Prime Minister Trudeau's $1.5 billion over 5 years, which has been extended now. to look after the oceans. It is actually quite a program. A lot of people would just say that it's, myself included, a PR stunt to push this pipeline through. And there is definitely a lot to be said for that. The OPP, unfortunately, we've fallen behind times. We've done some good work there. There's 270 members in the Southern Coast Committee on this OPP committee. I've been monitoring not just Trans Mountain, but oil spills for the better part of 15 years. I've been to over 50 spills. I've done work, front page news on the Vancouver Sun and Post Media, the Burnaby Now, with a lot of those spills from the MV Marathassah, and probably the better part of 70 diesel spills over the last 5 years. That most of them go unheard of. But back to Trans Mountain. When they first started a couple of years ago, I'm not sure if we have pictures up yet, because I've only got a few minutes. If we can get those pictures up, Sarah has those pictures. Here we are here. Back then, I called them the Trans Mountain Logging Corporation. These were the first days and some of the first 400 trees that came out of the tank farm in Burnaby, the Burnaby terminal. They cut down 400 of the first 4,000 trees in Burnaby 2.5 years ago, and these were some of them. Unfortunately and sadly, a lot of the first 400 were eagle perch trees that the eagles used to hunt ducks out of the air, seagulls. Squint Lake is less than a half a kilometer away from the bottom of the hill at the top of the tank farm, and you're seeing here some of the large trees that came out. There wasn't just cottonwood trees. There was cedars. There's Camp Cloud there. Big thank you to Camp Cloud for all the work that they did. Over the years, we worked very closely on those streams together, along with Broke and everybody else. But in these first couple of days, there was 400 trees knocked down. I made a complaint to the National Energy Board at the time, now the Canada Energy Regulator, and they put kind of a temporary halt on these first initial 400 trees that went down basically over 2 days. You can see some of the logging that went on here in the following couple months. Actually, 4,000 trees were knocked down at the tank farm, mowed down at the tank farm and Westridge Terminal within about 8-9 months. Originally, they'd only planned to do 5,000 trees, but because it was on their property, they decided to rip everything down and mow it down right up into Eagle Creek. They didn't pay, there's Eagle Creek right there. They paid no attention whatsoever to the riparian zones, the 25 meters back. They just mowed everything down. They're in the midst of burying that creek. That's one of the most successful creeks in the lower mainland, Eagle Creek. We have coho, we have chum, we have year-round cutthroat trout. Here's another section that they cut down about 1.5 years ago, Trans Mountain. At this point, I forced the National Energy Board at the time, through the media and the Burnaby Now, to do the first and only, at that point, joint inspection. And this was by all of the federal ministries and the Provincial Ministry of Environment. The Indigenous Advisory and Monitoring Committee came in, and I found 19 non-compliance issues. I just took pictures. It was pretty easy to find. And they took 11.5 days to come do that full inspection. Trans Mountain actually had 11.5 days to prep for it. I told the media at that time they would need 2 weeks to clean up their act. They still failed that inspection. As you can see here, there were so many non-compliance issues above and beyond the ones that I found that they did put a halt on it. Trans Mountain has done the typical bait and switch. They've promised us everything with those 156 conditions quite a few years ago, back in 2014. And now, of course, it's another 2,000 trees. It's another 1,308 trees. They've mowed down about 10,000 trees. I'd like to assure everybody right throughout Burnaby. They want to do another couple thousand more. If this happens at ground zero, I can only imagine what will happen if the rest of British Columbia gets, Trans Mountain gets in there. Recently, they've been shut down for 2 months. Sadly, it was actually Trans Mountain that shut their own selves down for 2 months. Poor fellow had been run over by a bulldozer. He's seriously injured. They had 37 COVID violations. They had many more than that, I could assure you that as well. They had a death in Edmonton. Prayers to the families. It was one of the most dangerous job sites in British Columbia at the Trans Mountain, all right up into Edmonton. I was there twice when Workers' Compensation Board did 2 visits and halted the work. They should have halted them for weeks for what has happened up there. But like I said, when back to, I kind of missed that with the OPP, the ministries from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans to Environment Canada to Transport Canada and heavily Environment Canada and the Canadian Coast Guard are spending up to 30% of their ministry's labor force to push this pipeline through. When the media, and I think it's our job to find out, when the media finds out, us Canada taxpayers find out about how much money on top of the $20 billion will be spent, I'm pretty sure this thing will be stopped. And I hope you're all with me. Thank you very much for helping out everybody, from sitting in the trees, from doing all of your good work. It actually warms my heart to have so many good friends and doing such good work all across, all the way up into Edmonton. Trans Mountain's literally mowing down and burying these salmon creeks, as you can see right here. These are sacred salmon creeks. They're very special. We don't do that here in Canada. We stopped that 35 years ago, 45 years ago. And but Trans Mountain's getting away with it. But we've had some great successes. I'll be very quickly here. These are some orcas I shot about a year ago, right in front here in Half Moon Bay, Secret Cove. Yesterday, Facebook friends will know that I got some sketchy videos. We had some orcas come out here right in the front. I had about 12 minutes with them just from the deck here. It was very special. A lot of people don't realize what happens in Burnaby. It affects the entire Salish Sea. All those creeks and streams and salmon creeks, when they get mowed over, when they get destroyed, as Trans Mountain is doing, and now they're getting into Stony Creek and Lost Creek and Holmes Creek and the Brunette River proper. We have to protect this for the southern resident orcas, and not just the southern residents, but the entire Salish Sea. Thank you very much, and much appreciated to everybody.
Thank you so much, John, for your exemplification and everything that you've done over the years. Thank you, Osia Miigwech. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jim, are you in the audience now? Jim, if you're here, we'd love to hear from you as well. Jim, if you are here, will you unmute yourself, please?
I heard that he was here.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah, I spoke with him before and he's coming in with his phone, but he's in a place with very poor internet. So I'm just, oh, there he is.
I think he may be here.
I've just been scrolling through and seeing all these wonderful faces too. It's so nice to see you all.
Yes.
So Jim, if you are there, please unmute yourself and share your wisdom with us now.
Did John do a welcoming? Can you
He
hear me?
did. Yes, hello, hello.
Okay. Did John do a welcoming? Or
He did give us a welcoming, yes. But if you wanted to give us
Okay, good.
another one, we'd be happy with that too.
well, I'm gonna pass. I talked to my elder in Halowitz, and so I had just a statement that all of our allied brothers and sisters are welcome on this land, as long as they walk in a good way. And the other one is he's just saying that we have been really successful as far as he's concerned, that the work we've done has kept this in the public's eye. And the other one is that the surveillance work that we do reminds Trans Mountain that we're always right there watching them. And that's what the 500-meter injunction, extended injunction for myself and Stacy was about, right? So anyway, I'm just yeah, so welcome you all to this Cecil Tomach, this this sacred land that we're on right now. And it is as John had said, what happens in this, you know, in the Burrard Inlet, and that affects the entire Salish Sea. And so we're concerned with that. Anyway, yeah, we do this work in a spiritual way. When I get asked about who, you know, who we're kind of answering to, I guess we say that it's not the chief and council, it's the traditional elders, it's the Georges, the Nahannis, the Points, the people who whose families have traditionally had eldership over this land, and they haven't been affected by the Indian Act and that colonialization. Anyway, so I'm just gonna, I have to start off by saying that I won't record on Monday because I'm put in isolation because a close cohort of mine has shown up positive. So
Whoops. I think we might have lost. No, I don't think Jim tested positive, but he said that a close colleague of his tested positive. Oh, I think he's back. Are you back, Jim? What do you say, Christine?
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well, I think we may have lost Jim, so perhaps we can come back to him later, or if he's still around at the breakout room time, people can also have time to spend with him then possibly.
how about now?
Oh, there you are. Yay.
Where am I?
Carry on, Jim.
Yeah. So I was saying one of the things that's happened is I've been put in isolation by the COVID police, and my isolation is the van. I don't have COVID, but one of the people in the church does. So we've been all put in isolation. Anyway, I'm not even allowed in the church, or I might have got better reception. So I mean better reception on the internet. Anyway, so what Robert was telling me, I don't know where it dropped off, where you guys stopped hearing from me. So I'm not going to repeat the whole thing. I'm going to try and stay in my 6-minute lane there. So Robert's basically saying that, yeah, we have been effective, that we've kept the people have been aware that we're here and we're keeping an eye on Trans Mountain. And the other one is that with the surveillance work, Trans Mountain also knows we're keeping an eye on them. And as John said, we stop them in a lot of different ways, a lot of different, but we also watch them just go ahead and do whatever they want. We talk about that riparian law that says you can't cut within so many feet of the salmon stream or anything that feeds the salmon stream, and they cut everything down inside the tank farm. So that's what you're looking at out here, is, you know, out on the river as well. They're going to go after all of it. And I don't know, I'm preaching to the converted, but when you cut all the trees down, then in the winter it's colder, and in the summer the water's hotter, you know, and that upsets the balance of all the things that feed the salmon and the other fish that are there. So we really still need to keep this battle up and remember that again, that the creator is on our side here. You know, the work we've done, we've managed to accomplish. I mean, with Elan and I, the one day when we chased that truck down to the Clean Harbors site, we just happened to be going by right at the exact moment that they were picking up that dumpster and trying to clear it out without anybody knowing. So that's really been valuable. I think the other thing we need to do here, though, is like we're not getting anything with the, with the media really. So it's like getting the electronic media of our own going a bit more, and also maybe going after some of the ministries and that. It's like it's just a really fact of convenience that the federal government has all say over the province and the cities, right? But when you look at Burnaby, they still stood up and they still talked out against this. So why isn't the province doing that? Why isn't the environment ministry doing that? They may not be able to do anything about it, but they may be able to embarrass the feds so that they slow down, or they stop cutting salmon enhancement areas, Anyway, that's that part. I'm just going to talk for a second as well before I use up my 6 minutes on jail time, and it's like one of my spiritual teachings is that God only gives us gifts. The Creator only gives us gifts, and it's what we do with things that are given to us. So if you're expecting to go to jail, look at what it is you want to do when you're in there, other than suffer. I did a vision fast for a few days, and when I'm going in this round, and I don't doubt for a minute she's going to throw the boots to me, but when I go in at this round, I'm getting books sent in, and I'll be able to, to read and use that as a time for learning and growth. And I encourage other people to think of what it is that they can do when they're in jail. And I'm not saying everyone's going to go to jail, although I know XR would like everyone to go to jail, and that's a good idea. But for the people that do choose to go to jail, how do you get good mileage out of that time that you're inside there? It's only a prison if we allow it to be. Like I've said before, Malcolm X couldn't read. By the time he finished his jail time, he taught himself with a thesaurus to read and to write. And he he's a published author, right? So anyway, that's going in those directions so that we make everything a positive that we can, Anyway, I guess I'm I guess I'm done. That's my 6 minutes. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, Jim. And we're very aware that your court dates are coming up, and we will be talking later about court support, but I think it's March 1st and 2nd. Is that right?
Yeah, but I'm not going to be there.
Okay.
I made up my mind. I'm just not going to go. No, I because of the COVID.
Okay.
Unless they try to do me electronically, and I as you can see, they're not going to be able to do that here. I dropped the signal all over the place.
Yeah.
But I'm the restriction that's on me from the COVID police is up until the 7th of March, so I can't go to court.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be holding you in our thoughts and hoping that you stay safe there. So thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So next, we're going to move into a series of presentations, short presentations of kind of an overview of what's happening along the route and what's happening with some of our campaigns, different things that are happening here in the Lower Mainland. And first up, we have Peter McCartney to share with us an updates and overview of what's happening along the full route. We're aware that we're here at ground zero, but there's a lot of other places where and different things happening. And Peter is a climate campaigner with the Wilderness Committee, mobilizing communities against destructive fossil fuel export projects and building political will for a just transition to a zero carbon economy. So welcome, Peter.
Hey, thanks so much, Ruth. I'll be quick with it here. I'm gonna share my screen. So lovely to see all your faces.
Yeah.
It's been a while. And you should be able to see sort of the map that we've got on the screen. I'm gonna go fairly quickly through the interior. I haven't been up, unfortunately, since October because of COVID restrictions and the weather. So if there's folks on the line from further up the route that have more of an update, please feel free to throw it in the chat or send me an email and let me know. But there's obviously the pipeline starts in Edmonton and basically just makes its way straight west and then through Jasper National Park and Mount Robson Provincial Park here. They have started up around Vilmont in earnest. The camp has about 65 people occupying it at the moment, and so they've cleared a fair amount around in Vilmont. In Blue River, the tiny house warriors obviously are still set up across from what would have been the camp that the pipeline company wanted to build in Blue River. They decided not to build that camp, obviously because of the opposition. And just in case anyone didn't know, the tiny house warriors are in court this week in Kamloops. So make sure to check out Canahoose's social media feeds for updates on that. You know, they basically have through much of the interior. They were just kind of getting going on clearing when I was through there in October. And more or less the route follows sort of Highway 5 all the way. It separates around Barrier for a little while and then follows on the west side of the North Thompson through the west side neighborhood and the Lac du Bois protected area. Yeah, go a little faster because I only have 5 minutes. You know, coming straight down through Merritt and through the Coquihalla, there's been a fair amount of work. They did have to fire their contractor for the Coquihalla area, but then couldn't find anyone else to do it, and so took them back up on a temporary basis, which is all quite weird and suggests they really don't know what they're doing. Through Spread 6, so kind of Hope and through the Fraser Valley, they just recently got the route approved through there, and haven't seen too much work there other than around at the Sumas terminal. They have sort of been out on the route. I've heard realigning BC Hydro right-of-ways and that kind of thing for work going through. And as we get a little closer into the Lower Mainland here, I did see some work starting on the Fraser River, the drilling that they need to do underneath, not on the Colony Farm side, but actually on the other side here. They've cleared a patch of trees just along here. I was up the other day, and that's sort of the entry point for their drilling under the Fraser. So what they'll do is they'll drill, well, they want to drill underneath and then line the pipe up in Colony Farm Regional Park and pull it back through underneath. Most of the pipe that is sort of for this spread is at this site in Coquitlam, 2 King Edward Street. I should say the other pipe kind of area in the Lower Mainland is at Lackaway or Lacomel in Chilliwack, and happy to point that out at a later date. So the pipeline moves through industrial Coquitlam, sort of right up through till North Road. This is the area, obviously, lots of folks are interested in Lost and Holmes Creek, where the tree sitter is in there, who we'll hear from later. And they had a bunch of workers out last week, and I think that was last week. And we're sort of getting ready to cut trees. So I know that that Timothy and the others are sort of watching very closely, and is imminent there. They did put on Stony Creek a small amount to the west, so it crosses further down here as opposed to right up here. And then at the tank farm, so it goes up past Burnaby Mountain Secondary. The tank farm, they brought in a crane, which I assume is to add the tanks. They've got lots of the tank pads cleared for the 14 tanks they want to add. And then finally, the drilling under Burnaby Mountain in their February construction schedule was due to start towards the end of this month. It's unclear whether or not they've been set back significantly because of the work shutdown, but we should be ready for the big drill, basically. This thing's the size of a small house to go through, and then start early. So that's my brief overview. I hope I mostly stayed to my time. So,
Okay. Thank you so much. I think Christine is going to come on next.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. That was really great. Our next speaker is Jane Thompson from Colony Farms. That's just a bit further up the valley from us. So Jane is the chair of the Colony Farm Park Association. She oiled wildlife rescue and rehabilitation during the 2007 Kinder Morgan oil spill in Burnaby. She's a mother to 3 young children, a cat, and 2 rabbits. Jane.
Thanks so much, Christine, and thanks everyone for taking some time to join this really important meeting tonight. I hope everyone can hear me okay. I won't take too much of your time, but I did just want to share some news about Colony Farm Regional Park. Firstly, I just want to acknowledge that I live in the unceded traditional territory of the Coquitlam First Nation. I'm just very close to Coquitlam River, and if I hop on my bike for about 30 minutes, I end up at the beautiful Colony Farm Regional Park, which is also on the unceded traditional territory of the Coquitlam First Nation. I've had the privilege of joining them many times for some salmon feasts and joining Coquitlam First Nation and keeping them apprised of what we are doing as Colony Farm Park Association with regards to our efforts to stop Trans Mountain. But I do know that they've also have their own agreements happening with Trans Mountain, and I'm not here to speak to that, but I did just want to share that although they may have agreements happening with Trans Mountain, we still keep the doors of communication open with them so that we're being respectful, as we do appreciate that we are on Coquitlam territory. I'm sure you're all aware by now that it was in the fall of 2020 when we learned that there was a closed meeting, several closed meetings, and that an agreement was made with Metro Vancouver and Trans Mountain that they could use 11.2 acres of Colony Farm Regional Park. This is not where the route of the pipeline will go, but as Peter was pointing out, where they drill under the Fraser River, they plan to use Colony Farm Regional Park to assemble the 1 kilometer of pipeline that will then be slid if their plans go, but they won't, but under the Fraser. So many reasons why this is wrong, obviously. But rather than speak to all of that, because I'm sure you've either signed the petition or heard other presentations or videos that we've done. But one thing that a lot of people keep asking is, when is the protest happening, or what are we doing? And we joined the Families for the Future event, which was really great for us because, yeah, it was, we had a sort of smaller group go out and protest. And part of the reason for that is that this park, first of all, is very environmentally sensitive. So we just wanted to ensure that people who are coming to the park to protest are aware of where we don't exactly want to be. The other big issue is the one entrance is the main entrance for the Coquitlam First Nation, the Forensic Psychiatric Hospital, and also about 400 community gardens. So we don't want to stop Trans Mountain by also being disrespectful to other things we care so much about. But what we found was there is ample space along the low heat highway on both sides where we could have hundreds of people and ideally many more big banners. With just the 15 to 20 of us that were there for a few hours, the response was so inspiring. People even stopped to join us going, oh, I had no idea you guys were going to be here. Can I come? It was really great. And there are so many people who not just want to stop Trans Mountain, but want to make a lot of effort to protect Colony Farm Regional Park and keep Trans Mountain out. And so part of the reason that I'm having one of the breakout sessions was for anyone who wishes to help. I initially said February 28th, but am planning to do it for March 7th because Trans Mountain plans to start moving in there as soon as March 8th, which is a Monday in just under 2 weeks. So if we could get a lot of people out there on March 7th and hundreds of people to share the message, and ideally those that want to come back the next day on the 8th, that would be fantastic. And that's what I'd love to discuss in the breakout session. I know our time is limited, so I'm going to leave it at that for now, Christine and Ruth, unless there's something you wanted me to touch on. But otherwise, I'd love to pass it on to the next wonderful speaker.
Yeah, no, that's great, Jane. Thank you so much. And hopefully there will also be time at the end with the breakout rooms for people to ask more questions and that kind of thing. But yeah, we're going to move on to one of the creative responses to the situation with the imminent tree cutting here in the Lower Mainland has been the 1308 Trees campaign. And we're really happy to have Rita Wong here to tell us more about what the 1308 Trees movement is all about. Rita is a writer who supports communities to find creative ways to stop the pipeline expansion and turn it into a stranded asset. So Rita, please unmute and.
Okay. I'm going to try to and see if I can do that.
You should be able to.
Okay, good. Here. So, just want to get to my page. Okay. Did everybody see this? Okay. I just wanted to acknowledge our gratitude, as it says on the website, to the Hunkaminam Homish and Hunkaminam speaking peoples who've caretaken these lands and waters since time immemorial. This is a creative project where folks can email the trees directly. And this out of a desire to make the movement accessible for people who might be, scared to get arrested or be out on the streets with banners, but they can still voice their care for the trees. And it's actually much more, as John was saying at the beginning, much more than 1,300 trees. Like, we're talking thousands of trees. 1,308 just refers to the ones that are over 27 diameter. But there are many smaller trees and other trees that are also in grave danger right now. So if folks click on this, they can get to this page on the Wilderness Committee website, and you can send a message to the trees, and you can also send it, it will be CC'd to Prime Minister Trudeau and Ian Anderson. One of the things about the project is that we're hoping to raise awareness about what's happening and to tell people that there's no social license for this destruction. So there's an Instagram account, there's a Twitter account, and messages that the trees are helping us get through the pandemic. Trees are keeping us healthy. We can still hug trees when we can't hug each other. No one wants to hug a pipeline. And just to kind of get people sending some good energy to the trees and the people who are up in the trees, trying to protect them as well, of course. So there are tree portraits on the website. We've been getting letters and more art than we can actually put on this website. We could use a couple of volunteers if people have web skills to get more of the letters out. We get a copy of every letter that is sent out, but it takes a little while to get it up on the website. And there is, of course, a Facebook page as well. Let me get to the right one. So there's about 700 people on there, and artwork can go to the Instagram or to the website. The Facebook page is not curated, so it's a little bit of a tangle, but there's lots of good attention to what's going on the ground, and people are sharing a lot. So just FYI, if you can, to please send a message to the trees. And the organizers will also be collating the information and sending it to the city of Burnaby, to the local First Nations as well. We didn't want to bombard everybody's inboxes, but we do want to gather a record of what's going on. I'll also just close by saying that some of the messages are from kids at the daycare on Burnaby Mountain, 4 years old, and they get it, and so just to remind ourselves that it's an intergenerational movement. We're trying to get kids, elders, everybody involved in whatever way makes sense for them in terms of honoring the gifts that they bring to this effort. And so, yeah, thank you for, just sharing it and getting the word out there. Thank you.
Wow, so great. That's such a wonderful project. Thank you so much to all the artists, and thank you, Rita, for sharing that with us tonight.
And the links are all in the chat for connecting with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge it's a collective effort. So Sarah, Pia, Donna, many people have been making it happen. Thank you.
Okay. Big love to everyone that's made this happen. It's a beautiful manifestation. So our next speaker is Ruby Campbell. She's going to talk to us about the Stop TMX Coalition. So Ruby is a New Westminster resident, mom, and a big fan of the earth. She currently serves as the Director of Advancement for Simon Fraser University's Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, but has decades of experience working and volunteering in the not-for-profit sector, in fundraising, governance, and volunteer management roles. Inspired by her community, Ruby is committed to applying her decades of professional organizing, fundraising, and community engagement expertise to volunteer for social justice causes, like bringing attention to the climate emergency and affordable housing. Ruby.
Thank you, Christine, and what a pleasure to be here. I honestly didn't know how many people would be on this, so yeah, what a pleasant surprise. So I am speaking from our lovely land here in New Westminster that we recognize as a Kakite First Nation territory, and I always like to shout out to my friend Chief Rhonda Larrabee from the Kakite First Nations, because she's been so supportive with everything we do, and so special acknowledgement to Rhonda. So here's what's happened. Like basically, I had a chance through a friend to meet Maureen Curran, and she inspired me. And I also, like many of us, have been walking a lot in our communities, Burnett, Greenway, Hume Park, just, walking a lot, Sapperton Landing. And also very, very aware of our climate emergency. I mean, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and not that necessarily means, not that it means that you're not aware if you don't have kids, but you're even more aware because they're learning it through school. But what happened is I then read Line's book, A Good War Over Christmas. And I know Seth just through some other work. And it really inspired me to use, like I said, the work that I have been doing professionally for something that I felt personally, I need to do something. Like I can't just sit here and do nothing anymore. But I didn't know what, right? And I also knew there was tons of people like Maureen that have already been doing great work. So I put out in New Westminster, we're very social media, we love our Twitter. And I just put a call out on social media. And I happened, because I worked for the city of New West for about 13 years, I happened to put a call out to say, hey, does anybody else, like, quite frankly, give a shit about what's happening with TMX in our community? Like, am I the only one here that's kind of, and some people said, yeah, I'm interested. I want to know more. And so I said, well, I'll hold a Zoom meeting. Whoever wants to show up, show up. Well, we had a lot of awesome people show up. Many of them are on this call, on this Zoom, many from the New West Environmental Partners, but many people that were, and I hate to say this, but just everyday people, right? We're like, hey, Ruby, yeah, we have been worrying and wondering, we've been seeing signs up, and we heard about this tree that's happening, but we're really not sure like what is going on. So I said, well, why don't you just come and hear what, and Maureen kindly offered to come and talk. And so she was there, and we had a couple of city councilors that came and a couple of school board trustees that came. I mean, luckily I know some of them through my work, but I also helped to validate it. And then we had Peter Julian's office join us. But what it helped to do is validate through these conversations that there's something we can still do, because many of them thought, well, it's too late. But we were able to, like I said, through Maureen and through the good work, validate that it's not too late. Only 20% is built. All these key messages that a lot of people didn't know. So we started to meet on Thursdays just to figure out what can we do. And so this idea of Family Day, do something around Family Day came up because we felt like this is about the future and not just about now, but we also thought it was kind of, quite frankly, something that was sellable or promotable, right? Something that we could get in the newspaper. And so we reached out to a whole bunch of friends, to a whole bunch of people, and just said, hey, do you want to participate? Do you want to participate? And but the other thing that happened is, we also had Coquitlam Councillor Benita join us, which was fantastic, who brought in Jane, and Maureen connected us with other folks. Because one of the things we wanted to do is to be realistic about this. We weren't reinventing the wheel here. People were doing all this great work for the last many, many years. So we wanted to make sure that we were connecting with people and amplifying good work that's already happening. So we weren't going to start new petitions. We weren't going to, we wanted to just amplify the good work and see how we can support others. So that's what we did on Family Day. And what happened through that is, I think a lot of the members and people that joined us, who are just, like I said, everyday people, said, listen, we want to do more. We don't have time to organize. Ruby or somebody just phone us and tell us where to be at what time and what to do, and we will do it. But in between that, we have lives where we're working and we're parenting and we're doing other things, but we care. We just don't know what to do. So that's where we're at now, is we have a really good network, and we are, like I said, meeting on Thursdays, and we're branching out. So, like Jane's request, we will make sure that we have people there for Jane. The next meeting on Thursday, we want to start to mobilize the letter writings to, our members of parliament and even provincially as well, figure out what we can do. And our hope is to make this a federal election issue. So because the election is pending, possibly, is to figure out how we as everyday people can say to politicians, if you're going to run, we don't care what party you are on, we want you to support this. And that's the other thing, is that, many of us have some political affiliation, whether constituency executives or whether we ran for something, but we've made this really pan-partisan. So we have Green Party, we have NDP, we have Liberals who are all part of this, and it's not about politics, it's about stopping TMX. So I don't know if that's, so I guess really a call to action is, if you have something you want us to do, please reach out, and we're happy to help. And we're really, really grateful to Broke and to Maureen and to all the other organizations that I reached out to that helped to promote Family Day. Whatever you want us to do, we are prepared to mobilize. So thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ruby, for joining us tonight and telling us all about the good work that you're doing. Yeah, so
Welcome, my pleasure.
Yes, thank you. So next, we really looking forward to hearing from Timothy. We have an amazing group of people, climbers, tree sitters who are holding down the tree we've been doing over the last 6 months. But I think we would all agree that Timothy is at the heart of that that effort. And Timothy is a strong believer in action and a world traveler at heart. He seeks to live a meaningful existence with himself, with oneself, with nature and fellow lively visionary spirits. He is originally from Montreal, where he studied microbiology and was later adopted by Newfoundland, where he did a master's in fisheries management. So Timothy.
Hey folks, can everyone hear me? I don't know if my microphone works.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. All right, so it's great to be on the meeting over here. I won't be long. So I just want to give everyone an update, and thanks everyone to be here. It's very important that we get together to get some stuff done, some real action on the ground and elsewhere as well. So what's going on at the tree sit at the moment? There's a lot more construction that's very imminent. They are cutting the trees like sporadically. They're getting prepared to cut the trees. They're doing just a few bush clearing here and there. They're putting tapes all over the forest where the tree sit is. And the tree sit is guarded by security TMX security officers all day long. So from 9 to 5, more or less. And they're guarding the entries to get there. So, and they used to film everyone that gets there. And it was kind of aggressive with the camera, and they had their mask, and we can see who they were. And but since the prayer circle came last week, it changed the whole landscape, and they relaxed a lot. And then now they don't film people; they let people to be on the ground. And BNSF police is not called, because before, when supporters would come, and if they stayed too long, the police would show up. But now it's only security. They're not harassing people, so that's great. And I encourage people to show up at the tree sit and to hang out there. We're going to create a hangout space there. So that's it for the tree sit. Like the support has been incredible, has been really good. I just invite you to come and show up and hang out over there. I would like to take my remaining time just to pitch a big idea that I have about. So the goal of that idea is to have mass mobilization. Because my theory of change is that if we have a lot of bodies in the streets on a regular basis, we are going to make a difference, and the politicians will have to follow. They won't have any choice, because what I understand from the politicians is that they don't lead, they follow. And so we have to lead. We have to tell them, like, what is it that we want, and we have to be affirmative. We have to be firm yet kind. But we have to know what is it that we want, and we cannot wait anymore. So the idea is to reach mass mobilization, and by mass mobilization, I mean like thousands of people in the street. This is what my goal will be for the next, I think, inside this year. And so I've been talking to about 15 environmental groups in Vancouver, like the sustainability teams, the wilderness committee, Broke, Dogwood, Stand Earth, Climate Convergence, Climate Reality, Mountain Protectors, XR, Peace Bearer, Families for Future, Elizabeth May. All of those people, I talked to them personally, and they all on board. This is crazy. Everyone wants to fight TMX, and we all want to come together to do this. I'm super excited about this project. Now we have to make it happen, because I don't want just to be paper. So the idea is to have one event per week for a whole year where we fight TMX. And so those events would be organized by different groups, different of those environmental groups. So there's about 15 of them. So there's probably once every 3 months, one group would have to organize one protest on the ground, and they put their own flair to it. And we might even compete between the different environmental groups to see who can bring more people, can have more art into it, make it more attractive. It has to be a party. Those protests have to be a party. And so once a month, I would like to have one bigger event when we have where we have people, bigger speakers, where we have maybe politicians, maybe celebrities to come talk. So the idea is to have like every week one event, and people know that those events will happen, and we schedule them for the whole year. And the idea is to go into the breakout room and to talk about how to organize this. One last thing about this project is I would like to have the sustainability teams at the head of this movement. The young people, the really young people, bring a lot of hope to this movement. We've seen it with Greta, and I think the sustainability teams, which have shown a lot of interest into that project. And when I've asked them what their theory of youth power, and I was like, well, we will give you a lot of power. Find all the power we can find, and we will give it to you so you can mobilize those people. Because when we saw like that incredible protest 2 years ago, that's how I got mobilized the first time. And it was because of the sustainable teams that managed to get 100,000, even 200,000 people in the streets. They have a lot of power, and we have to give all that energy to their power so they can help us organize this big project. So join us in the breakout room that's called Mass Mobilization from via Treetop. And then we will talk about this. We will be looking for organizers and people who want to actually make this happen, not just talk about it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Timothy, for everything that you're doing and for the whole team. And I just wanted to add that an important element of mass mobilization is being able to get the word out when we need people to show up. And we have actually created just today email alert list, which is a one-way list. So it's not a chat where people can, but it's designed to be able to send out an email to you when we need people on the front lines for support. It'll be a low traffic email list, only used for action alerts. And we will keep your email address private. So I think Sarah's going to put that into the chat. So please check that out and go, and you sign yourself up. You can sign yourself up and you can unsubscribe yourself. So yeah, great.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we're moving on to on-the-ground surveillance, adopt the pipeline. So I'm happy to introduce Mike. Mike has been active with Protect the Planet, Stop TMX since the beginning. He's also been supporting protectors on Burnaby Mountain and taking every opportunity to mobilize people to stop TMX. Mike, tell us about Adopt a Pipeline.
Thanks, Christine. I would love to. Can you hear me all right? Yeah, so great to be here with everyone tonight. It's about connections. I feel connected to everybody, so thank you for being here. I can't take credit for this idea. The idea came from Ryan, who's presenting something else tonight. So, but it's such a great idea. I just jumped on it right away. Adopt a Pipeline's been going for a few months now. It's really picking up some momentum and it's very effective. So basically, as Peter told us, there's 6 kilometers of pipeline route that go through the Lower Mainland. And those are divided up into 1 kilometer sections. If you look on the Trans Mountain website, they've very nicely given us the route. And so Adopt a Pipeline is sort of a play on Adopt a Highway, where you take ownership of one of those sections of the pipeline. You get to know it. You get out on the land. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful campaign because it's got a lot going for it in that you can get some exercise. You can go out with a friend. You can walk your dog. You can ride your bike. But you get to know that section of pipeline. And it's so important that we do that because we want to have eyes on this company. As John and Jim said, they're doing stuff that they don't want us to know. So we're watching. And as Jim said, the watching is effective. So this is an invitation. If you're interested in doing this, you can come to the breakout. I can tell you more about it. But basically, you go out once a week, twice a week, go out with a friend along a section, and you're looking for evidence of construction. You're looking for survey markers, tree tags, work trucks, security. You'll get to see things, if you go out regularly, you'll get to see things that weren't there last week. And then if you wait to report that in, and that information goes to the coordinating committee, and it's important information because then we can act on it. But so much is happening, and it's happening quickly now, that the more people we have out on the land, the better. We really want to keep eyes on them. and we want to get familiar with it and be able to see what's going on and be effective in reporting it. And I'm going to tell you very briefly, it's a beautiful thing to do during these times. You don't have to be stuck inside your house. When I go out on my own with my camera, and I connect with the land, and it feels good. It's good for the soul. I always come back saying, I'm so glad I did that. And the other thing is, it's not arrestable. You're not taking a big risk. You're not doing anything illegal. You're just out there collecting information and then passing it along. So I want to invite you to do that. If you are looking for a way to get involved in a safe way, but a very effective way, come join me in the breakout. I'll be happy to tell you more about it. And some of you out there that are doing it, if you're looking to come along and share your experience, because I know people would love to hear it. So that's it for me, and back to you, Christine.
Great, thanks, Mike. I'll pass it over to Ruth, in fact.
Once I get myself unmuted here. Yes, thanks, Mike. Another one of the things that Protect the Planet's been involved with is doing tours into various areas where the pipeline is planned to go, and public education and flyering. And we have with us Ryan to tell us more about that. Ryan was born, raised, and lives in Burnaby and has been involved with a few different organizations. He recently moved closer to the Burnaby tank farm and is very helpful in our group because he keeps a very close eye on everything that's going on. So Ryan, if you could tell us a little bit more about the work you're doing.
Thanks, Ruth, and thanks to Mike. Yeah, so the adoptive pipeline is great for the information feed so that we know where the work is going to be happening. And what that segues into is letting local residents know about the pipeline that it's coming near them. So what we found is that, of course, as you can well imagine, when a pipeline comes near your home, that is when you're most likely to get activated. So I like to think of that, you know, we might all be pacifists, but in a war, if somebody was coming for your house or for your family or threatening the health of your family, that's going to get you up and moving. So that's sort of the tack that you can hear. So we go out and flyer into the neighborhoods that are going to be living very close to the pipeline. Some are living you know, less than 100 meters away from where the pipeline route is going to be, and they've never been given the heads up that this is what is happening. So we have a good flyer. We use Google Maps in 3D, and we create specific maps for the individual residential neighborhoods so that in relation to where they live, where the pipeline's actually going to be. We offer tours so people can see and connect with where the pipeline is actually going to be located, and those have been hugely popular, and people have been coming out quite regularly for that because it's the only opportunity they've been given to understand how this is going to impact them. And you know, local news, the Burnaby Now had our story for 3 weeks, and we were on the cover of the Burnaby Now, delivered to every home because of those tours that we were offering. And so education is the beginning to spark the next step in the movement against TMX. So if you're interested in learning about more of the things that we're doing, there will be a breakout room for doing tours and flyering and getting the word out inside the neighborhoods that are going to be directly affected. So I invite you to that. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. And thanks for all your good work and great ideas. So just to be clear, the breakout rooms are going to start after we finish the main program. So you don't have to worry about it right now. We'll have a slide and you can go into those at that time. So our last speaker on this main bit of the program is Jeanette. She's going to talk to us about faith. So Jeanette McIntosh is a facilitator and organizer for Faith in Action for Justice and Peace with Kairos for BC and Yukon, with a background in environmental health, community health, and epidemiology, did my best, and theology. She dedicates her efforts to ecosystem health and climate justice research, education, policy, and community engagement. And over to you.
Great to be here with all of you. Thank you so much for this invitation and honor. Thank you to the co-hosts, Ruth and Christine, who are very much a part of the inspiration and the beginning of what this Faith in Action group is all about. You to all. This is a group of dedicated people who are deeply concerned about what is happening around TMX. We gather every 2 weeks. We are inspiring one another to bring our faith into action through a collective way in groups. And it's amazing how the connectivity that we feel despite these times of COVID. Many of us have never met in person, but we come together in prayer and in time for reflection. And the way we do it is we invite people to go outside with the intention of training ourselves up in ready any kind of direct action we may take. So we're training our bodies, we're training our minds, and we're training our hearts for action through this group. We have recently come together to be at the tree site to support Timothy. And just recently on Saturday, we were there in the beauty of this Lost Creek area, right there at the foot of the tree. And it is so good to meet you or see you, Timothy, as we've waved from below for many times that we've come to visit you. So that was this past Saturday, and actually most recently today, some of the prayer circle members joined just to be present where the indigenous youth have been protesting at the insurance at AGI, and was there to be witness to their actions and by supporting them. So some of our work is evolving, but we're very much concerned about what is happening to us directly and how TMX is affecting all of us, Mother Earth, and all of God's and Creator's beauty. So also, I just wanted to note that this group is also involved in Sacred People, Sacred Earth. It's a multi-faith action day that's organized for March 11th at the 11th hour. You'll hear more about it in our breakout room. I'm concerned about the time. I'll just keep it short, and please join us in our breakout room to hear if you wish to learn more about putting your faith into action for TMX, against TMX, I should say, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jeanette. So Sarah, Ross, did you want to, I think, were you going to introduce Eric? Eric's here.
Sure, yeah, thank you. I'd like to introduce Eric Masiscope, who is joining us to, I think, about Braided Warriors Direct Action. Eric Masiscope, Ukichitao Neheyao, Atakato. Oh, wait, let me try that again. Atakakup. That's the last word. Eric, can you unmute and go ahead? Thanks.
Tanse, Sarah, thank you. Okay, Tanse Eric Masascapo. It's okay if you said it wrong. To be honest with you, I gave you the pronunciations of the spelling just simply so that you could try to attempt and not to think that you would actually try. But I think it's always a good exercise to try to attempt some of the languages that are natural to these nations here and to these lands here. Although that's a little bit more prayer, I won't say that. Although a little side note about Cree, it's the #1 most indigenous spoken language in Vancouver. Just don't tell the local nations; they don't like to hear it too much, but that's okay. Anyways, Tanse Eric Masascapo Kasika Sana Takakupo Chinya. What I said is my name is Eric. Hi, how are you? And I'm from Atakakup. Atakakup means star blanket from star blanket. Cree First Nation, and also a Takakoop Star Blanket. I'm from the Star people, and grateful to be here with you all, you allies and wonderful people. So yes, I would like to speak a little about Braided Warriors, but I'd also like to make the firm announcement that I'm not part of Braided Warriors, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm out. They're 26 and under. They're a group of indigenous youth, and they've just been just creating a real storm of real news media frenzy, a new approach, and a new look at this destructive pipeline project. Last Monday, I think they had like a couple hundred followers on their Instagram, Braided Warriors, and I looked just a few minutes ago, they're at about 12,000. So if you can figure out how to raise 12,000 followers, I think you need to start listening to these folks, because they seem to have the formula for it. The formula right now is to go after the insurance companies. So I want to empower you with some, because I think you guys all know the locations downtown, and I think there was some solidarity events out there. I think I even saw some solidarity events out with our Line 3 folks. I think the very next day out in Winnipeg, in the frozen winters of Winnipeg, Indigenous youth all parked up and did their bit out there. And appreciate that today down there, I saw another group that went down there, and really encouraged to keep on visiting back there. These youth come with the tagline, "Stop ensuring genocide." And I know that G word's a tough thing to say for some of you folks. You guys want to switch it over to ecocide or climate crisis. And even in my own speeches, sometimes when I've walked with some of you folks, it's been hard saying that word and seeing it just turn into academic debate. My thoughts and hearts and prayers are with the family of a one Kaylee. Remember first starting to get to know that person at a fire, and I handed her some Cree language books, and encouraged her to sing some songs. And next thing you know, she's wanting to learn every single song that there is out there. Except she's going down to the Indigenous bookstore and buying every single Cree book that she can find. And her and her brother and her little 5-year-old girl trying to make a difference in this world. And I think that's a voice to look forward to, is those Braided Warriors. I think we all went through a nice little tour. A nice lady that came out here from across the way there, Greta, were inspired very strongly by those words. But I think we need to start looking at our local heroes as well and elevating them. And something I've been good with them is every once in a while I pass them an address, and next thing you know, something happens. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to admit that, but you know what? I'm going to incite some things for you today, because I think there's some addresses out there that you need to empower yourself with if you want to be on that braided path. I would like to see an action at 175 Berkeley Street, Boston, Massachusetts, 02116 for Liberty Mutual Insurance. I would like to hear an action happening at Barengaus, 328001 Zurich, Switzerland, Limited. I would like to hear an action at 175 Water Street, number 14, New York, New York, for AIG headquarters. I looked up, they did terribly last year. How will we make this year where we bring them down into the ground? Because I think anywhere you see that, those phrases of AIG, I think you can start thinking about genocide in this country. I don't know how else to expose it. I mean, that girl I speak of, all she wants to do is bang her drum and learn the songs and get the word out there. I don't know why that person needs to be sitting with a concussion, with 6 stitches and refuse medical treatment. I don't know why that person needs to look down in her drum and see her own blood in it. And we say those people are resilient, but sometimes, you know, you can look out there and that resilience is just a passive of why you're not out there. Sometimes I feel that. And I know some of my relations have been hard with you, why you weren't there. I don't think that's the time for this. We're not here to divide people. I'll tell you something else about these people, and I appreciate, there's a lot of weird, wacky stories, but I know these, that Kanahus, Manuel, and the Tiny House Warriors have been supporting our braided warriors 100% from the get-go. And I'd love Mike to come and talk to our braided warriors and see what their response is to what he's been saying in our chat rooms here today. If Sweatmick have some issues, then Sweatmick can deal with those issues. I'm Cree, I'm not part of that. And they told me that when I stepped in some of that stuff. I'm not here to divide anybody, but to celebrate all of you and lift up my hands to everyone here that wants to go and fight this stupid pipeline. You've only got until the end of next year to stop this pipeline. I don't even think that. You've got till the end of summer to stop this pipeline. The project completion date for this pipeline is next year, end of next year. What are you doing? I've got 2 red dresses here ready to go. Give me a call. I know what Kaylee wants to do is she wants to sing those songs. So I'm going to sing the song sang as soon as she came. And I apologize if it's over the 3 minutes. I don't even think I need to apologize because where's the Indigenous representation here today? I think it was at the beginning. And we're closing it here. I appreciate Sarah Ross for having the fortitude to making sure that was orchestrated properly. Long live Tiny House Warriors, long live Kanahus. Manuel, a great war chief, and long live Braided Warriors and Kaylee Wolflinger. Why you guys are wasting your time shuffling around municipal white paper? It's time to go international, folks. That's what I want to say for those Braided Warriors. You can judge me on it if you want. I know you guys all know me. You guys know fierce in time. Some of that is because I have a chemical dysfunction right now going on because I'm going through a process where I decided to, instead of going into a facility for rehab, I went to the front line. A week after I decided to quit drinking, I went up to Tiny House Warriors, and I've been fighting for this beautiful province that you guys call so-called British Columbia ever since. For my children, for your children, and for your children's children. So hi for all those ones that fight, and I'll sing you the song that Kayla sung best. She sings it better, unfortunately. And she's Ochitau Cree. Ochitau Nehea. Ochitau means warrior. And Nehea, although they say it means a Cree person, the word's older than that. It means a blend between the 4 sacred elements of this world. That's who we are. That's who they are. We're our surroundings. Sung that 4 times. She did that before she decided to go to the hospital while they refused her medical treatment. And she sang that song outside of the fire while we were all waiting there for her to get out and be released. And this is not the first time these youth have seen police brutality. There's some of these Indigenous youth were checking for concussions a few months back ago over the port. You know, what's your dedication look like? Ask yourself that, because it's really hurting for me right now, and this is why I'm taking a break so far. And this is today's my direct action is come to speak to all you and try to motivate you. The other day it was just going out and seeing Timothy, bringing him some soup and He's got some of my artwork up there, and I see now the other Tim is up there. So hi, you're stopping a pipeline. If you could stop it for 5 minutes, go out and figure that out. And then tell somebody else to go and do it for another 5 minutes. That's 10 minutes right there. Then tell 6 other people to do it. Shut down this country. I want this country shut down. I want everyone go to the world. I want to hear about the actions at those 3 places. I don't want to hear about 40 grand being shoved off to some local municipal stuff. And I'm going to stop right there because I don't want to get laterally violent on here. I just want to lift my hands up to anyone that's doing the fight. And if it is that 40 grand, then so be it. If I'm wrong, so be it. Do what you do. Stop this pipeline for my relations. Stop ensuring genocide. Stop TMX. Hi.
Just want to hold a moment of space here to absorb those powerful words that you shared with us, Eric. Yeah, I think those were words we needed to hear. And I also want to acknowledge Mike McKenzie for speaking his truth in the chat. And I think we can all understand that this isn't a space tonight where we can work out all of maybe what needs to be said, but at least we've acknowledged and we've heard, and hopefully there can still be some more processing of some of that before the night is out. Yeah.
I wish no ill will towards Mike. I'm sorry that happened to you, brother. But just today was not the day. We're here for a people's assembly to figure out how to stop a pipeline. And that's not on the agenda. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for your truth, Mike, though.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I realize in some ways it doesn't feel appropriate to be going into talking about all the legal stuff right now. We are a community that recognizes that a diversity of tactics and approaches are something that we believe in. We realize that we don't necessarily put a lot of faith in the courts. The courts have not been good to us. The courts are colonial. At the same time, it is one vehicle that we use to try and stop this pipeline. There have been some successes along the way. And one of the things that we are doing right now is we are launching a legal challenge. It is a legal challenge to try to overturn the injunction that was granted to TMX in 2018. And the main argument in this that is being used is that is an economic one, in the sense that even the Canadian Energy Regulator has come out last November and said that we do not need the Trans Mountain Pipeline if Canada is serious about meeting its climate targets. And that's something that needs to be heard, and light needs to be shone on that. This will give us an opportunity to have that argument heard in court. And we are doing some fundraising to pay the legal fees for doing this. And so there will be a link in the chat. If you are not able to donate, we certainly appreciate it if you could help us share the fundraiser with your friends and family. And yeah, I think that that's all I'm going to say about that at the moment. So Christine, I think it'd be great if you would just mention very briefly, don't have to go into a lot of detail, but just that there's another legal challenge based on species at risk that Christine, Rod, and have gotten some funding for through West Coast Environmental Law. I don't know, do you want to say anything or just leave it?
I'm pretty emotional right now, so I don't think I can talk about anything.
Okay.
Let's just say we're trying to give voice to species who don't have voices.
Right. I think most people have heard that there are endangered species in the Brunette River, endangered fish called the Nooksack dace. And we all know about the endangered resident, southern resident orcas. So yeah, we're just trying to use like whatever angles we can to try and stop this pipeline. We also wanted to mention in the realm of legal, the legal area that we have had some legal rights trainings. Chris Hermes of the Law Union of BC has helped us with that. There is a video which of the last one that can be viewed. I'm not sure where the link to that is. However, we do have another legal training scheduled with Chris Hermes. It's going to be on March the 4th at 7 p.m. Sarah, did you want to say anything about that, or is it enough just to put it in the chat?
It's in the chat. I think that's enough. Yeah, it's a virtual session, 1.5 long session. And if you're, considering risking arrest, this is this Know Your Rights training is key. So it partly covers having a support team, being aware of your basic legal rights, what to expect. It's a great training. Even if you're not going to get arrested, it's a great training. And Chris has been doing legal support for, more than 200 people that have broken this injunction since 2018. Yeah.
Thank you. So Christine, going to talk about upcoming events. Are you okay?
So this is the last thing before we go into music and breakout rooms. We're gonna play some music while we get organized in the breakout rooms. Jack, can you put that slide up? We put I think we got most of the things that are coming up just in the month of March. It's a bit intense actually. So yeah, we missed these slides earlier. That's from the Green Faith group today. Right, so actually Zane, are you there? Did you wanna, as you'll see, it's a lot to do with the courts. How convenient. Looks like colonial courts have us, or maybe we're just blocking the courts. In any case, there's a lot going on. And the first event that's coming up on the 27th, and Zane was just going to talk us through that, and I invite you to put these into your calendars in the meantime. You'll also notice at the very bottom of this, March 11th at 11, so it's the 11th hour of the 11th day, is this big day of this multi-faith day of climate action. I think the link was in the chat too. Zane, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, do you want to tell us about the 27th?
Yeah, sure. So we're targeting the courts, the BC Supreme Court on the 27th, because it's quite obvious that the Supreme Court is guilty of facilitating the mass murder of millions of its citizens, which is what the climate emergency really means, because that's what happens when we hit crop failure. People are going to die in the next 10 to 15 years. Once we go over 2 degrees of global average temperatures, which is now locked in. And so I just wanted to make an argument for there's a shift in terms of why the idea to sit down on the road, because there's something called civil resistance, right? So there's, I think direct action, like targeting specific corporations and projects, needs to go hand in hand with civil resistance, and they both need to facilitate one another. And civil resistance basically means the kind of civil disobedience that we saw in the civil rights movement, where people go down to the capital city and sit down on the road, and they don't move until hundreds of people are willing to maybe get arrested, or until their demands are met. So this is part of a larger campaign where on the 27th of April, we will be starting a march, a 4-day-long march to Victoria, where we will, again, sit down on the road and not move until hundreds of people either get arrested or our demands are met. So one of the main things that happens when we block an intersection is that the traffic goes back 1 kilometer every 10 minutes. And so if you've got 500 people blocking different intersections throughout a major city, then within a few hours, you can shut down the city. And you can actually see this happen on Google Maps, the traffic going back 1 kilometer every 10 minutes in some parts of the world. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So there's like, there's this thing called the Declaration of Rebellion. Some of us wouldn't happen to it sometimes, but there is one. And what that basically says is that there are people in Canada and around the world who are in a state of rebellion against their government because the government has broken the social contract of protecting its citizens. And so we're allowed to participate in disruption in order to prevent larger disruption. And it's important to engage the general public. So we're also going to have a fake blood spill outside of the court, which is going to symbolize the blood that's on the hands of the judicial system in Canada. So yeah, on the 27th, we'll be gathering at the Art Gallery at 12 p.m. And then we'll have a march and blockade thereafter. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you for telling us about that, Zane. Yeah, so just to cap off this part of the evening, we're just going to watch like a really, really short 1-minute video, and then we're going to also have a bit of music as people are choosing their breakout rooms. So if Jacqueline, could you share your screen and watch that little video? Oh.
Oh no. I don't know if I want to learn more. Let's see.
Maybe it's a buffering, not a strong enough internet signal to show it, maybe. Yeah, that's okay.
I was under the impression it was time to dance anyway, or like just.
Yeah, maybe we should just put on some music. Can't go wrong with music, right?
Yeah, sorry, it's saying for me to completely like restart my computer maybe, and if I did that, that would end the session.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'll just share the link to the video maybe in the chat, and then if people want to watch it on their own, then they definitely can.
That's a great idea. It really is quite a beautifully, it kind of really just captures the beauty of our movement. And I guess that for me, when I watched it earlier today, it just brought the feeling to me that for every one of us that are here on this call tonight, I really truly believe that there are hundreds more. For every one of us, there are hundreds more that are supporting this movement. And as Timothy said, the trick is to kind of just get us all mobilized and organized enough to be able to do this thing. Yeah, so we are going to move into selecting the breakout rooms. You will be able to choose the breakout room of your choice, or you can not select a breakout room and then you would be staying in what's called the main room. And Christine will be in that main room. So if you have questions that aren't addressed by any of the breakout rooms, or you just don't feel like going to a breakout room, just stay, and there will be people to talk to there. But it's our hope that the breakout rooms will help us to all get more connected with particular things that we're interested in. And hopefully you'll leave tonight with contact information that you need to follow up with whatever areas that you're interested in working on to help stop TMX. So there are about 3 breakout rooms that weren't really addressed in the, that we haven't really heard about. And so I think Sarah is going to just come on really quickly and talk about those 3 rooms so people know what they are.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so, okay, in Breakout Room 4, it's sharing experience on arrests and a legal Q&A. That's with Elin, and Elin's a member of Broke. So Elin will speak to her own experience of being arrested. Also, she was arrested on Burnaby Mountain in 2018. She pled not guilty, and that took her to trial, and she self-defended. So she's learned a lot through that process. She's happy to speak to it in Breakout Room 4. In Room 6, we're calling all amplifiers. So that's the media breakout room with Andrew and Donna. So if you have skills, particularly as a journalist, that request comes directly from Timothy in the Tree. Journalists, designers, campaigners, writers, web people, social media, memes, whatever, turns up the volume. We need you. So join Breakout Room 6. And then Breakout Room 8 is going to be workshops, affinity groups, and spin-off projects. And I'm going to host that along with PJ. So this will be a place for us to sort of catch any ideas you have, like spin-off ideas, what comes next. There's several workshops already upcoming, like the legal rights training, the know your rights. And I think we're going to do an affinity groups training coming up. So, and yeah, affinity groups, just short and sweet, is it's like an organizing tactic that's not hierarchical, where you get together with people that you share values with and you do things. So it's a really effective, it's a spectrum, right? So it's like, on one hand, it would be like going for walks and making signs with your friends. And on the other end, you might see something like Braided Warriors, direct action. There's a whole spectrum that affinity groups work for. So, yeah, we'd love to, if you have any ideas about projects that you want to spin out, either in affinity groups or otherwise, then you can come to Breakout Room 8.
Okay, and I'm seeing from in the chat from Jane that Breakout Room 7 is not going to be happening because she has to leave, but she's given her email address for people to follow up, and she says Regional Park in March 7th. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure exactly if that's an event. In any case, her email address is there for people to follow up on. There was a suggestion about a XR breakout room. We hadn't explicitly planned for that, but I suppose we could say that number 7 instead of Colony Farms could be the XR breakout room. Yeah, so I think now we're going to start a little bit of music, and I think the way this works is that the options should pop up on your screen, and you should be able to select the breakout room that you want. If that doesn't work, then please message Jacqueline in the chat, and she will actually just tell her your name and the number of the breakout room that you want, and she will manually put you in that breakout room. So yeah, if you have any questions or anything isn't working for you, please let us know in the chat. Am I forgetting anything, Sarah or Christine or Jacqueline?
No, just
No, I just can't do my tech piece. I can't play the music and show the slide together at the same time, so.
Oh, well, let's put the information about the breakout rooms in the chat right now so people can still refer to it. Can we do that? Or can't you? I thought you could just share audio without screwing up the...
Not while someone else is screen sharing.
Oh, well, nobody's screen sharing right now.
Okay, I'll try then.
Okay. Anything else before we move into that?
What is the decision about the breakout rooms 7 and 8?
So
they'll show up as names right now.
Okay.
So I added in the XR breakout one, but it kind of made it like a number 8, I guess.
Great.
So what we'll say, I guess, is we'll let people go into the breakouts. When we wrap it up, people are free to go for the evening. So is this our official goodbye and end of the recording for now?
Yeah, so we're not having an official coming back together as a big group after this. So the breakout rooms can go just organically as long as they need to or want to within reason. I think probably Jacqueline will want to close off the event by what time, Jacqueline? 9:15 or?
the Zoom is open for another 4 hours, so it should be enough.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I am not open for another 4 hours, so.
It'll just
Sure.
go. I
Say
mean, it
9:15,
doesn't have to be
something like that.
stopped. It'll just go.
Okay, so we'll just see how that goes. Maybe, yeah.
Okay, I'll open up the rooms now. People should see it on their screen.
Oh,